Welcome to Short Scary Stories, Episode 12. 1. I Saw Something Disturbing by Mr. Nightmare 420 on True Scary Stories on Reddit. Hello, I'm a 17-year-old female, living in Maine, near the border of the US and Canada. I live in a very small town and there's nothing really interesting happening. I like to wander around the woods when I can, until this event happened to me about a week ago. It was a normal day, and it was perfect weather for wandering in the woods. So that's exactly what I did. I'm not sure how much time had passed, but I know I was deep in the woods. With my 1-year-old German Shepherd, I came across the fence with barbed wire all around the top, so climbing it wasn't an option. By the time it started to get dark, on the other side of the fence I saw a really run-down looking warehouse. I found an opening that was barely big enough for me and my dog to fit through. At the back of the building, I hopped through a broken window and started wandering inside the building. I was making my way, looking at the glow-in-the-dark spray paint. It was very creepy. I kept going until I got to the stairs that looked to be a fresh pool of blood right before the top stair. And there was a long bloody trail leading down the stairs along with the bloody footprints. I walked down there scared and curious. I followed the trail down the stairs and long dark windowless hallway into a room where there was one of those chair things you would see at the dentist's office. When I rounded the corner, there was a man eating what was left of a human body. The body was placed on a chair and he was eating everything. The room was covered in blood and satanic symbols all over the room. I'm not sure if the man noticed me, but I didn't care. I started running and he didn't chase me. I told the police everything, but they didn't believe me. Neither did my parents. I know this sounds totally made up and out of a horror movie, but please, I need someone to believe me. Anyone, please. 2. I Was Almost Kidnapped or Worse by roxydatslut from True Scary Stories on Reddit. A few months ago, I left my friend's house at about 3 or 4 in the morning. I was 17 and drove a very recognizable blue car with stickers all over the back. And as I was on the road leading to my neighborhood, I realized that there was a car behind me. It had been there for a very long time. It was a bigger white car, and their brights were on, so I couldn't see who was inside. I got extremely suspicious and decided to drive past my neighborhood into a different one. So I turned left into the neighborhood that made a right turn. They were still behind me. I made another right turn, and another until I was out of the neighborhood, and I made an extremely sharp right turn back into the neighborhood. This white car made the exact same move that I did, and I was so scared I was afraid to look away from the road for even a second. So I didn't. I grabbed my phone and called the police. I'd been to this neighborhood a couple of times, and I knew that it had some dead ends for resident driveways. I was terrified I would end up in one of these. I made a bunch of crazy turns and passed a gas station trying to not panic or turn into one of these dead ends. I lost sight of them for a second, and I quickly parked my car between 2 others. I ran out of my car into the dark area between 2 houses, where I sat behind a bush, crying and shaking. I waited a while before I got up and walked around the neighborhood with stealth until the coast was clear. I knew that they would recognize me or my car, and I didn't know what would happen if I was inside. Did I do the right thing there? Is there a better way to prevent this? If you're enjoying the video, please drop a like. 3. Landlord Tries to Break In When I Was 16 by OKGas775 on Let's Not Meet on Reddit. I just woke up in the middle of the night remembering and needing to get it off my chest. When I was about 16, my dad and brothers and I lived in an old rundown house in the middle of nowhere. It was private rental. My brother would do work for the landlord to pay our rent. Our landlord never came off as particularly creepy, but that could be because I rarely went outside when he came over. And my dad, he wouldn't dare do anything in front of my dad. I was home alone one day, and my dad and brothers went out somewhere I don't remember. I had my dog in my fenced-in yard outside, but that was it. I was in my room doing whatever I was doing, probably playing Sims 2. We lived in the middle of nowhere, and there was a long driveway, which the window of my bedroom directly faced. I could see or hear anyone driving up the driveway. I saw a car, not my dad's, and I immediately freaked out. I ran and shut all the blinds in the house and turned off the lights and checked the doors were locked. It was our landlord. He lived next door about 2 miles from the house, and yes, that was the closest house. This was the first time he had come by unexpectedly. It happened twice before, both times I was home alone. This was the first 2 times he was only there for about 10 minutes, walking around outside the house, and then quickly leaving. But this time was different. I grabbed a big kitchen knife and hid under the kitchen table. I heard him pull up outside of the front gate, and my dog was outside going crazy, barking. I heard him yell, "Shut up, mutt!" I could hear his footsteps walking up to the door. He tried to open the front door, and I was freaking out at this point. I texted my dad he was coming straight home, but they'd be like an hour. He continued to walk around the outside of our house, trying to peek in each window. The house is old, and has 3 doors you can enter from. He tried all 3. I thought maybe he didn't know I was home. Maybe the last 2 times were coincidence. But he started saying things including calling out my name. He knew I was home and I was alone. I couldn't hear what else he was saying through the brick walls, but quietly creeped through the house following his voice up and down the hallway. I was trying to hear what he was saying. That's when he said something I'll never forget. "I'm gonna burn the house down, but I'll let you out first." Of course, I didn't take him seriously, which scares me even more. He wanted me to come out. He wanted me to take his threats seriously. That's the part that gets me. I know exactly what would have happened if I would have believed him, and my life would have been completely different. He was there for at least 30 minutes, or maybe closer to an hour. He was persistent. He left before my dad came home. I told him everything, and we moved out soon after. I still don't know how he knew I was home alone. My dad never saw him on his way driving out. So he knew my dad was gone because there was no car in the driveway. But how did he know I was there? How did he know I wasn't with him? That's why creep landlord will never meet again. Edit. I just realized now that we were evicted, and we didn't leave. We lived in a caravan at my uncle's house for a year before finding a house in a different town. Thank you all so much for watching today's video, and a huge thank you to everyone who shared their amazing stories for me to read. Your support and encouragement mean the world to me. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more of my content, and don't forget, don't shoot the messenger.